Hi, everybody. My name is Greg Krasnov. I'm the CEO and founder of Tonic Bank, and I'm here to talk to you about what Tonic is and what we've done and where we're headed. So, what is Tonic? We built a bank for the first time in the Philippines where users can open an account in under 5 minutes. And basically, all it takes is a selfie, an ID scan, and an e-signature. And you have a full bank account immediately open with a virtual debit card. And that enables you access to a broad range of bank products. So that includes the digital account, the consumer loans, high interest deposits, as well as payments and cards. As I mentioned, immediately you get a virtual debit card, but we're also offering a physical debit card, which you can order through the app. And you can move money in and out through a variety of convenient ways, including interbank, over-the-counter agent networks, and direct pull on the bank account with a few of the big banks that we've also executed. The bank that we've built, it's backed by the first digital bank license in the Philippines, given to a private bank. We were actually originally a pilot under the central bank jurisdiction with a rural bank license, but we piloted as a digital bank in a sandbox regime with the BSP. And basically, we converted into a digital bank license as soon as the regulatory framework for that was developed by the BSP. But we were kind of the guinea pig that BSP used to learn and figure out, how to create the digital bank regulations. And so we're very, very happy that we were able to do that and work together with the BSP on achieving that. So what that does is it enables us to offer a full range of banking services on our own balance sheet without having to rely on any partner bank. And also it makes our deposits subject to the deposit insurance under the Filipino Deposit Insurance Corporation's purview. So if you're depositing your money at Tonic, you can be assured that these funds are government insured. Our bank is backed by top international fintech investors, including such prominent funds like Sequoia, Insignia, iGlobe, Point72, some very, very experienced global fintech investors. And we've also been among the best funded fintechs in the region at our stage. So even before the launch, we raised more than $40 million from our investors to actually prepare the bank for launch and to deliver the service to the consumer. So this group of investors gives us very unique access. A lot of these investors, they've also invested in neobanks in other parts of the world, in Europe, in the US, and Latin America. And that gives us access to contacts, access to information, access to a lot of insights that we share with these players about what are the best strategies for working with the consumers on delivering that digital solution to them. Why did we launch in the Philippines? Well, obviously, we think the Philippines is an extremely attractive market for digital banking. And there's a few reasons for this, which I list on this slide. First of all, there's a very large millennial demographic in the Philippines. Philippines is a very large country, population over 100 million, and average age of a Filipino is 24 years old. This means that everybody is very digitally native. All the consumers are used to getting their services online. 70 million internet users and smartphone penetration is already at a 65% level and growing very rapidly. So also Philippines is actually unusually active digitally. It's the highest digital engagement globally of any market in the world. Philippines is the #1 Facebook market, for example. People spend on average 4 hours of screen time on Facebook per day. That's huge. And that means it's very easy for us to reach the customers and to talk to the customers. And, for example, we're doing most of our marketing and advertising on Facebook and on Instagram and YouTube. We actually don't have any offline programs running for marketing. And it's great for us to get direct feedback from our customers. We have a group called the Tonic Bank users where we have tens of thousands of customers commenting every day on our services. And, I'm actually a very active reader of that. Almost every day doesn't pass that I don't go on this group and don't see what the customers are saying and don't comment and try to get more information. It's an amazing way for us to get very, very direct feedback from the consumer that helps us to evolve our service better and faster. There's also a lack of trust in the incumbent banks. The incumbent, the traditional banks, the large banks in the Philippines, the top 10 or top 20, they're generally perceived by the public as very kind of golden marble. And there's also this, big disbalance in how the incumbent banks treat the retail consumer. So the balance sheet of the incumbent banks, of the Filipino banking sector at large, the deposits come by far predominantly from retail customers. Over 80% of the deposits are retail, but only 10% of the bank assets are then turned around and lent to the consumer. So that creates this huge disbalance where the consumer economy is very undercredited. That means that the average Filipino consumer is not getting a good deal from the banks because they just kind of take the money from the consumers but don't give it back, right? So that's one of the things we're planning to change. And another thing that we're planning to change is the interest rates that the big banks are paying to the consumers. They're also the lowest in Southeast Asia. The top banks' average deposit interest rate that you can get is 0.5% to maybe up to 1%. I can actually get a better rate in Singapore on Sing dollar deposits than I can get in the Philippines on peso, which doesn't seem fair. So these are the types of things that drive the customers to actively look for digital solutions. And 55% of the banked population, they're super keen to switch to digital. And we've seen that in the demand for our service, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. And finally, the untapped fintech opportunity, 2/3 of the population are unbanked, which is among the highest levels in anywhere in Southeast Asia. And as I said, loan penetration is 5 times below the average for Southeast Asia. So all of these things create this environment where there's this huge unmet demand. And this demand can and should be and will be met through digital services that go direct to the consumer and meet this latent demand. So I mentioned that we've seen quite amazing traction. We attracted $70 million in deposits, over 3.5 billion pesos, within the first 5 months of operation. And we've done that with practically no marketing. The only marketing that we've done is we did our launch campaign, which was, again, on Facebook. We had a Facebook Live event where some of our influencers were talking about us. We're very fortunate to host the Deputy Governor of the BSP, who also talked about digital banking on our event. But beyond that, we haven't actually launched a marketing campaign until just a couple of weeks ago. And the reason we haven't done that is because our deposit traction was nothing short of amazing for us. The types of numbers that we were able to achieve since launch, no other bank has ever achieved in the Philippines this kind of traction before. And it also blew out of the water all of our projections. We didn't expect to have these types of numbers until much, much later in the year. Like my budget for the end of the year was actually $50 million, 2.5 billion pesos for December deposits. And we blew right past that number in June. This definitely confirmed to us that there's a huge latent demand. And moreover, this has been a big surprise for us because our traction on deposits has exceeded the traction of pretty much every neobank out there that we've gotten the data for, including some of the biggest names in neobanking, Revolut, N26, Starling, Monzo. All of these guys, it took them much longer to get to that deposit balance number that we got to in the first 3 months. That shows to us that unmet demand in the Philippines is potentially much greater than in other parts of the world, and we're very excited about serving our consumers' needs. So where are we headed from here? We achieved a great success with our deposits since our launch in March. We're now focused on launching loans. So what you will see from us is in September, we've launched our first lending product, the cash loan product, to the market. We've been piloting that for a few months. We're preparing a couple other lending products to also introduce to the Filipino mass market consumer. And we believe that the Filipino consumer deserves to have a much better deal from their banks. So we plan to continue expanding our lending and our payment functionalities and introduce other products on our platform. So you will see actually within the next 12 months a major expansion of our product range, so that ultimately we can do a full banking service experience all in the app, all without having to go to the branch. And our objective is to make sure that the Filipino consumers become banked. It's to even out that balance, that the banks don't just take your money, they also lend the money out, and they also give us service that is relevant. to enable the financial inclusion. So that 70% of the Filipinos that don't have bank accounts, they will come into the system, they will come through the digital channels, and we're very, very fortunate to be at the forefront of that. And that's a huge part of our mission and what drives us. So yeah, with that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for listening.